Hey everyone, how is everyone doing? Huh? Uh, Welcome to my podcast. If you're new to my Weekend Podcast, it's available on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, as well as on SoundCloud as an audio. In any case, so sorry, I didn't mean to start off my podcast with the promotion of my podcast. That's not what I wanted to do. I am doing this podcast on this Saturday, May 23rd, 2020. How's everyone doing? Are you surviving? Did you take remdesivir yet? Is that what it's called? The new fucking coronavirus, what is it called? Is that a pill or is that like a fucking uh, vaccine? I have no freaking idea. But in any case, I presume you all are safe out there. I mean, I'm okay. I'm safe. I don't have fucking corona. Um, because, like I said in my last podcast, when I did the fucking what is it called? The detox. So basically, they tested me. They test you again for 72 hours. And I've been drinking a lot of water, eating a lot of good food. 19th day, no booze, right? So, yeah, I mean, I don't get any fucking hangovers. Although I haven't had a great amount of sleep in the past 2 nights. I think last night, I think probably I had like 5.5 hours, which is not enough, obviously, right? To meet the fucking 8 hours minimum. And the night before, I think I had 6 hours. So in any case, hopefully I can sleep tonight well and get my at least 8 hours. But the night before that, night before, is that how you say it? The night before? I think I slept for like 9 hours. Maybe that's what it was. But in any case, so I ordered some food, for delivery from the steak place. I ordered a chicken, fucking amazing. And I sprinkle a little bit of like, I went to the grocery store here on Marion Boulevard, and I had to buy some like essentials, like the dish, whatever the fuck it is called, like this dish sponge and like paper towels and all that, right? So I picked up some lemons, and so when they delivered the food, actually I was taking a walk alongside Morris Canal, and then the guy was calling me. Sir, I'm at the lobby. Where are you? I'm like, man, I'm not in the building. So just leave it there in the lobby. You will see on the counter. People usually leave food for other people. Like the food deliveries. And he was like, he had an accent. I don't know from where, but I mean, I have an accent too. But without making fun of his fucking accent. He was like, "Oh, okay, yes, I will leave it here." And then so he left it there, and then I came home. I was listening to fucking Joe Rogan, and who else was on his podcast tonight? Was that from fucking last night? David Peckman. I mean, he's a fucking leftist, I think. I'm not a political person, and I don't want to politicize anything. But I hate people on the left as much as I hate people on the right. Right? Without any fucking like rational and conscient minds. It's all fucking politics for the sake of politics. Right? Identity politics, where the fuck it is, right? Your own ideas. You don't listen to other people. Right? Bullshit. Without going into that rant, although I'll mention a little bit on John Rogan, not John Rogan, sir, ma'am. Joe Rogan not wanting to, making a deal with Spotify. which I fucking hate Spotify. I fucking hate Spotify. I remember having an account there. I don't know why. This was back in the days. In any case, so what the fuck I was talking about? So I went on a not jogging, but I just went on a brisk walk in the evening. I had a productive day today, actually. I worked for a few hours. I didn't go to the office, but I went to my, bagel place, Wonder Bagels. I picked up my, 2 egg white sandwich, lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and then I also ordered like a side order of like house fries, and that was fucking delicious. And then I worked for a few hours. I worked for a few hours here at home, from home, right? Which I believe is going to be the case for many of you, right? Is that what it is? All the office space in Manhattan is going to be abandoned? I mean, I have told from the fucking get-go of this coronavirus, which I should have done that even before coronavirus, which I think I already did. I think I mentioned that in one of my fucking podcasts. But my landlord in Manhattan has been dragging feet because I've been paying top dollar fucking rent. And I told them after this fucking thing happened, I'm like, I can't afford that to pay that much rent. So you have to find me a smaller space on the lower floor, right? Am I fucking repeating myself? But in any case, so I guess I am. Getting back to my weekend. My weekend is going fine so far. I had a productive day. And I had some food around like 7:30, and then I was listening to Joe Rogan, and then I was I was also actually watching, I think I'm still watching the UTC, I'm sorry, UTR, not UTC, what the fuck am I saying? UTR tennis matches, I don't know where they are held, but you can see that they are actually being held from May 22nd to May 24th. I think somewhere in the US. So UTR is called Universal Tennis Rating, right? So I think these were all women's matches. So I was watching those on YouTube TV, in my living room, big screen TV. And here I am. I'm doing my podcast, and this time I have few topics in my cheat sheet, which I'm going to cover later on. And I was actually looking up flights. I got a text message actually from Expedia whether I wanted to cancel my flight. If I wanted to cancel my flight by May 31st, right? Because I have a flight booked to Colorado, my vacation, at the end of August, early September. That long weekend. But given the uncertainty around this fucking coronavirus, so apparently, they're not refunding you, okay? If you have already purchased your your vacation tickets, technically, if you think about this, if I can't go because of this fucking coronavirus, let's say by August, things don't get better. And now, I'm stuck with the fucking Expedia and whatever the fuck airline I'm flying with, right? So, if I can't book a hotel or whatever, right? Because, I don't know, I'm going to Fort Collins. So, let's say that the town is still under lockdown and, hotels are not taking any guests. Whatever the fuck it is, right? Because of this whole fucking pandemic. Shouldn't I have the right to actually receive a fucking refund from Expedia? I think I should, right? But what they are saying apparently in the text message, sorry, I'm jumping from one topic to the other. What they told me that if I wanted to cancel my flight by May 31st, then all that money that I use to purchase the ticket, it's a round ticket to Denver from Newark Airport in New Jersey, then I can apply that to any future flights with Expedia. I'm like, what do you mean any future flights? The whole fucking thing is so uncertain that who knows what the fuck is going to happen the next couple of months. Am I going to ever be able to travel? So, like companies like Expedia and these other fucking companies, Cheapo Air, they fucking play these games. So basically to suck the blood out of your body as much as they can. So I think I'm going to talk to Expedia and give them this fucking, like a logical explanation, or tell them to give me a logical explanation as to how they are justifying applying the money that I spent on a round flight in August when I won't be able to travel, for them to justify to apply that to any future flights. No, I want to get my money back. That's what I'm going to tell them. All right, okay, so that was my rant on that one. So all you people, I don't know if you have actually already booked your flights. I had booked my flight last year, and that's what I usually do. I book my flight well in advance, and I had already booked a rental car from Denver Airport. I think I'm fucking repeating myself, right? But in any case, so I don't know what all you guys have in terms of your vacation. I guess nobody knows. Nobody fucking knows given the situation we are in now. So yeah, I think I should ask for the money back. As should you all. Is that what you say in English language, huh? So I'm going to talk to them, although that's not a priority, but I'm going to make it a priority, before May 31st to at least give them a call to see what the hell's going on, right? And I actually have the prints for my itinerary, the flight itinerary, and then the car rental actually in my office, actually, it's pinned against the wall next to my desk. So I've been working. I've been focusing on work. I've been working from my Jersey City office this whole week, and things are opening up. People are not as worried as they were, I think, a month ago, and people are, basically just feeling it normal somehow. Although it's not going to be normal, I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, how things are going to be in the post-fucking pandemic era, in terms of everything opening and all that. And I'm hoping that construction opens in New York City because everybody's so anxious. Us people in associated with construction industry, we've been waiting for these fucking politicians to open the construction as non-essential construction soon. So they're talking about in New York City as soon as early next month, right? So hopefully not like fucking mid next month, thanks to de Blasio and fucking Cuomo and all these fucking politicians, right? But in any case, so hopefully early next week. I'm sorry. Next week is, I think, upstate in the Finger Lakes regions and all those, southern tier and all those regions, right? Counties. But next month, hopefully early next month, non-essential construction opens in New York City. Okay, so without repeating myself, which I already did, things are I mean, I don't want to use the term again, back to where we were 2 months ago, or maybe 2.5 months ago. But because of the, the weather changing, now it's springtime going into are moving into summer, people are, more outdoors. Although today was a fucking gloomy day, drizzling, and like, I think last night it was like raining, and then it was gloomy and drizzling and, cloudy and all that, right? So all you people, since this is a long weekend, Memorial Day weekend, shouldn't I have been in fucking Orlando now, sir, or somewhere else? Because usually I go on a vacation, a mini vacation, Memorial Day, theme parks and all that, right? Speaking of which, I think Universal in Orlando, they want to open theme parks with some restrictions June 5th. So all you people down there, I think you can go to see the theme parks. But yeah, I like theme parks. They're fun. But I can't get on a fucking plane. I guess I could, but then where the fuck would I stay down there, huh? Because the hotels are not open, I think. But in any case, so I've been just focusing on work, and then sometimes I drive into my Manhattan office to check the mail to see if any payments came in, right? No, nothing so far. We have been paid online by a couple of our clients, and thanks to them. Without turning my podcast into a work podcast, so yeah, I had some food, and I'm watching UTR, female, May 22nd to May 24th. UTR tennis matches. I think there are only 4 players. What is it, like a mini series? Just like a fucking mini series I was watching. What was the fucking mini series I was watching on HBO Now? Oh yeah, Mark Ruffalo's show. What is that thing called? Few Things That I Know. Don't quote me on that one. This much as I know, what the fuck it is. That's a great show. I mean, it's different than any other like shows like Travelers or Ozark, but it's an HBO show. So Mark Ruffalo, new show, right? New show, right? Bear with me. I'm sorry. I apologize. I know this much is true. It's about him and his twin brother, and without any spoiler alert, that's a new show, so that's it. So I watched that, and 2 episodes. I think third episode is coming up, and then I watched like few like shows on Netflix and I think on Amazon, and they were like fucking crappy, What was it, like something to do with time and, like going back in time and what the fuck it was, right? I fucking hated that show. And, but this is a great show. I think that's in my cheat sheet that I watched, which is very realistic and, traveling, space travel and all that. But I'll talk about that when we get into my cheat sheet, right? All right, so fuck it. I do wear a mask. You have to wear a mask. When you go into a public space, you go into a grocery store, or go into a restaurant, or a cafe to pick up your food or whatever, right? Or CVS, whatever the fuck it is. And but other than that, like people who are walking on the streets and and they don't, and there's no restriction here, and our waterfront, great New Jersey, Jersey City waterfront is a great neighborhood, and it's not crowded, and things are somehow becoming normal. At least they appear to be normal, but us going into a restaurant and sitting down and having a meal, that's a far-fetched idea, at least for now. Although I think hopefully that would be a reality soon, right? What is going to be like fucking like 6 feet apart tables and whatever the hell it is, right? Uh, but yeah, some of the other states, they don't give a shit. Restaurants are open. You can have a meal and have a glass of wine, whatever it is, right? But I'm taking a break from booze, so no glass of wine for me for some time. If this thing becomes normal somehow, maybe I'll have a glass of wine with some food, but not anytime soon. For me, so far, aqua is good. So, what else is going on, huh? Since, this is a long weekend, I was actually asking my girlfriend. I think I asked her if she wants to come over tomorrow. She said yes. Although she gets called to work at the last minute, so I am not sure. So let's see. But I was asking her, hey, do you want to take a drive down, Jersey Shore and on Monday? Although the weather for the long weekend is shitty. Shitty in terms of not raining and all that, but the weather is not that warm enough to go to beaches. But the beaches are open in New Jersey. So let's see what she says. I haven't heard from her. So yeah, I mean, I might take a drive down there on Monday, depending on how I feel like, right? What is it, Garden State Parkway, whatever the hell it is, right? Let's see. New York obviously is a shit show, although listening to news, watching news, not watching news, I don't watch a lot of news, but, reading news and all that. New York City beaches are open, but you can't go into the water. And what were the other restrictions? I'm trying to remember. But New York City obviously is very slow thanks to our fucking politicians. They have no fucking real game plan to open the city. There are some guidelines by, I don't know, CDC and blah, blah, blah. You have to meet at least 6 or 7 out of 7 criteria. Is that what it is? For not having more than 20 cases a day. Or is that what it is? I have no fucking idea. I don't want to give you guys a lot wrong information, but look it up. And first of all, I wouldn't want to go on go to a beach in New York City to begin with. And I'm not a beach person also to begin with. I'm from mountains, so that's why I go to Colorado. I just go up to the nature and just be up in the mountains, and just feel the energy. And, I just love the views and the, being on the high ground, And so hopefully, I can make that fucking vacation, because this weekend I would have been somewhere out of fucking state, most likely in Orlando, going to theme parks and just I would have probably done my podcast from down there, right? But it's just a fucking abnormal time, uncertain time, abnormal, whatever the fuck it is. Who knew that this was going to happen 3 months ago? But in any case, so I mentioned Joe Rogan, signing a deal with fucking Spotify, right? So my take on that one is that that's a fucking bad fucking move for Joe Rogan. I mean, Joe Rogan, his podcast is a great podcast, and that's his own decision. But people say, people like these other guys, who have been to Joe Rogan's podcast and all that, right? They were talking about, Google and YouTube, and they have a monopoly and blah blah blah, and although they are free and blah blah blah, but and they were talking about Spotify is free. It's actually not free. First of all, you have to have an account, right? If I were to watch Joe Rogan's podcast on YouTube, right? Or any podcast or any videos, right? If they're public, I don't have to have a fucking account. I just search on YouTube and then I can watch those, right? It's not, Spotify is not like that. And second of all, I don't know how he's going to do the video on Spotify, okay? And the third, You have to have an account with Spotify, and also in order to watch those, you have to actually sign up for one of the plans. Monthly or yearly plans. It's not free. If you think that Spotify is free, it's not. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you. So I'm not gonna pay $30 a month just to watch or see or listen to Joe Rogan's podcast. I'm not moving my fucking podcast to fucking Spotify. I'm happy with YouTube. Not that I'm happy with YouTube. I'm happy where my podcast is on my YouTube channel. And, I don't get like a million views or whatever the fuck it is. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to move my podcast to fucking Spotify. I'm not a big fan of Spotify. I'm happy with my podcast, as audio on SoundCloud and on my YouTube channel. So all you people out there, if you think that you can actually, listen to Joe Rogan and see his podcast the way you used to on YouTube, forget it. And second of all, Spotify is audio only. So I don't know how the fuck they're going to do just a special, like a video podcast for Joe Rogan. I have no fucking idea. That's not my fucking problem. But what I would say is that obviously Spotify's share jumped after Joe Rogan signed this deal. So Joe Rogan has influence on fucking, the media and all that. So especially the podcasting world. So who was talking about? Well, some of the guys, who obviously many of the people, including myself, we listen to Joe Rogan's podcast on YouTube and all that, right? And so the Spotify stocks actually jumped $5 billion. Is that what it is? Don't quote me on that one, but actually they did after that. So there you go. I mean, Spotify obviously, didn't make a deal, $100 million. What the fuck am I saying? $100 million deal with Joe Rogan. They didn't make that deal just because of Joe Rogan's being a great podcaster. I'm pretty sure they did that, but also because they knew that he was going to bring revenue. Just what happened between May 15th and May 22nd, their stocks actually jumped from $168 a share to $189 a share. Can you believe that? That's like fucking $5 billion right there. So there you go. So without ranting on that one, personally, as a Joe Rogan's podcast fan, I don't think it's a good idea for us fans to actually have Joe Rogan have this move. All right, so, but it's not the end of the fucking world. All right, I'm pretty sure people will scam it and they will put it on fucking YouTube. So who cares? 28 minutes, everyone, into my podcast. It's 9:22 p.m. on this Saturday. Weather is kind of, it's not that warm, but this is fine. What can you expect? This is still like fucking Memorial Day, so there you go. Tomorrow's Sunday, so I'm going to get some really nice sleep, get my sandwich, and I think I'm not going to work. I'm just going to take it easy. If the weather is nice, I'll probably just go for a nice walk or something like that. And yeah, I do my body exercises here. And I've been taking melatonin, for as a sleep aid, so that has been helping me. So, although the weekend schedule, it fucks up the whole fucking, the weekday schedule or weeknight schedule as opposed to like weekend night schedule, because you always have this thing in the mind, not the thing, but it's real that, oh, you know what? Let's just stay up for another hour. I don't have to get up early tomorrow. Blah blah blah. So that actually spoils your like weeknights or weekday schedules as well. So But I need to get some sleep, so I'm gonna try to, like pass the fuck out sooner than later, right? And I'll probably have a little bit of food after this podcast. And while I'm downloading it, right? Uploading it. Is that what it is? Uploading it. And what else is the news? Well, obviously, things are, I think, flattening out when it comes to the curves and all that, which is a good thing. Although Brazil is a fucking shit show, a new shit show, I heard. Brazil has a lot of population and all that, right? Obviously, they don't have a lot of infrastructure. And so they're suffering. But this obviously has had a global impact. So there we go. Let's talk about something else, sir. All right, we talked about fucking coronavirus, and so let's just talk about something else. So I also watch sometimes on YouTube. It's called it's this show called what is it called? For the Love of Cars or something like that, right? For the Love of Cars, YouTube. So they talk about like how to pick up these really old cars. I think this is like a European show. These old cars, the old German Beetles are one of those, right? Or like fucking Land Rovers, right? Land Rover is a fucking English, I think, originally English SUV, which I think was bought by one of those German companies later on. Is that what it is? I think so. So I watched that, and it's fucking amazing how they actually like build everything. Basically they take everything apart, they remove the engine, they build they build a new engine and all that, and they do all the paint and all that. Am I repeating myself? But in any case, so also speaking of YouTube TV, I saw some matches, the German League matches, right? And they had spectators in the stadium. Is that what it is? Is that real, or is that like a match from like last year? I was trying to figure out, but I know that the German leagues, I told you guys, I was watching a couple of games during my last podcast. They're open, but are they open to the public as well in terms of like spectators in the stadiums? I have no fucking idea. I thought they had, but maybe I was watching an old game today. I didn't watch the whole fucking game, but I thought that was interesting. And I think the next ones are, I think, Premier Leagues, and hopefully, and then the NFL and all these, right? But I don't know. That's still up in the air. So don't quote me on those ones. 33 minutes, everyone. So maybe we should just get into our cheat sheet, since I don't want to go on about a whole hour of podcasting. And since I had to get some sleep and all that, so let's just get into our cheat sheet, huh? Again, I presume you all are having a great weekend, long weekend. Unfortunately, maybe you already have made plans. Maybe you already are with your family, friends, and all that. But it's just a tough time to have a long weekend and not enjoy the things that, we used to enjoy. Like, for example, I would have done a barbecue up on the roof in my building if it was not for this fucking coronavirus. Because we have few barbecue, grills up there. Although I saw in one of the other buildings, I was walking along Morris Canal, that park. There were people trying to do barbecues, in the areas where they had barbecues in one of the other buildings near Morris Canal Park. But in any case, let's keep our fingers crossed that, this fucking thing is over soon. And so we can somehow get back to our normal lives, right? So, my first topic, everyone, PPP. What the fuck is PPP, sir? Okay, so Paycheck Protection Plan. Okay, so I told you guys we got a little bit of money from SBS, Small Business Administration, the federal government. But it has a caveat to it. And the biggest caveat, obviously, bells and whistles, is that what it is? The biggest caveat to it is, or hurdle to it, is that you have to, in order for you to actually be eligible for loan forgiveness, right? Forgiveness, or is that what it is? A forgiveness. You have to spend all the money, all the loan you got within 8 weeks of the date that your loan was approved or granted, right? So 8 weeks, and you had to spend 75% on your fucking payroll and 25% on rent, utilities, and all that, right? So it's very tough, especially, that all these small businesses, including mine, I've been scrambling to have my office manager back on the payroll. And I have also spoken to my accountant, and she's agreed that she can be on my payroll and all that, right? So without, again, turning my podcast and items in my cheat sheet into my work. But the bottom line is that PPP has this fucking restriction where you have to spend all that money within 8 weeks, which is impossible for many small businesses, given that, they don't have people on the payroll because they didn't have any money. And so basically many of their employees got on the unemployment, right? Now it's very hard to get them back. And how the fuck do you expect us to actually spend 75% of this loan? Not that I got a lot of money, even then. So because the restriction are that, okay, so if it was only payroll and if I could run a payroll for myself, unrestricted payroll, but there's a restriction to payroll for myself, or even if I'm running payroll for just for myself, I can't take more than a certain amount in that 8-week period. So it's a fucking disaster, and I'm hearing that even Senate and fucking Congress and, all these big politicians are even trying to pass some sort of a resolution where they're trying to extend the 8 weeks to, I think, 24 weeks. If they could at least extend that to like 12 weeks, if not 24 weeks, that would help us. That would really help us small businesses, because it doesn't make any fucking sense. And that's what my accountant was telling me, that she was basically scrambling because she only has 3 weeks left. I have I have I think 6.5 weeks left. So that's the reality behind PPP, the Paycheck Protection Plan. The ladies are playing tennis, and so that's my take on that one. So if you are a small business, if you're not getting a paycheck from your employer, if you're not working for somebody else, and if you are a small business, you have your own thing going on. So these are the basic fucking things that you need to know about PPP. If you have received any fucking loan from the SBA, right? So there you go. So that's my take on PPP. And my next topic, everyone, Mars TV show. I mentioned that earlier in my podcast. So Mars TV show is a great fucking TV show on Netflix. And it has basically combined the, like the interviews from Elon Musk and what are the hurdles. And then they have a fictional, like 75% of the show is like a fictional, team that actually lands their ship on Mars, however they do it. And then the next, 10 years, right? Next 10 years, what happens there? From a disaster, finding water on Mars, trying to establish a colony, trying to be self-sufficient on, food and plants and, grains and all that, right? And then trying to extract, minerals and all that, right? And so they were trying to actually compare that to, for example, what happens on parts of our own planet which are very hard to live on. For example, Antarctica, and some of the other harsh environments. So that's a great show. I mean, that actually has combined again. I think I actually watched both seasons. There are 2 seasons. It's a great show on Netflix, Mars, and it's closer to reality as possible. Although, if you are into like really, instead of like what happens, on Mars once we establish human, station there, and we bring in humans, not only for experimentation, but finding life and finding water and all that, but also on a long-term basis, because we only have one planet, and so we need a second home as Mars. And the point I'm trying to make is that if you are into like what happens between the travel of the ship between the time the ship leaves Earth and the time it lands on Mars, then if you are into that, then that's not a show for you, because I mean they do show the difficulties and hurdles of traveling through space for 6 months or whatever the fuck it is, and then landing is not easy. Landing on Mars is not easy. And, they bring in people like Elon Musk and all these other, people, experts. But that's a great show. So I don't want to turn my podcast into a Mars Short podcast. But that's a great show. 2 seasons. Are they going to have a 3rd season? I'm not sure. Don't hold me on to those words, so look up for yourself. And my next topic, everyone, fish tank. So I remember I used to have fish, and I used to have a small fish tank here. So the fish died last year, obviously, for some whatever the fuck it was. And obviously, you don't want to get fish from like fucking, like some place like, Petco, So the fish tank had been sitting on top of the stand here, right there. I was showing to you guys earlier in one of my podcasts when I actually got the fish tank, and my girlfriend was with me at Petco when I picked up the fish and all that, right? But it had been sitting, and then I had turned off the pump, which circulates the water, and then it had been sitting, and then water was like getting like very like murky and all that. So this week, actually, I think Thursday night, or was that Thursday night? I think Wednesday night or Thursday night, I'm like, fuck this, I'm going to clean this. So basically, I removed everything, from the fish tank, all the plants and all those other things, and then the gravel and everything. I basically cleaned out everything. And then I just left the fish tank, and the cover and everything else in the refuge room right here. Refuse room. So, fish tank no more. No more fish tank, right? Am I going to get another fish tank in future? I'm not sure. Although I've been in contact with friends with Fort Paws, I actually was sending them an email because I've been getting a little more serious about getting a dog. So since my girlfriend was over here, and when was that? Last Saturday, I think we had a sleepover, and her dog, she is a very nice dog, very well behaved, didn't make any sounds, and she was sleeping. And I was having a hard time. My girlfriend was sleeping, and I was just watching that show Traveler. So basically, I binge watched that night. My girlfriend, I was asking her the next morning, hey, baby, so did you have enough sleep? She was like, yeah, I slept well. And then her dog, her doggy, slept, no sounds and all that, very well behaved dog. He slept, she brought her blanket, and basically she slept on the blanket in the living room. And then she left, I think it was did she come over actually Thursday night? I think it was Thursday night, and then she left on Friday. Or was that Thursday night or Wednesday night? One of those. Oh, no, actually Monday night. I'm sorry, Monday night. She came over Monday night, and then she left on Tuesday morning, and then I couldn't sleep well, not because of her or because of the dog, but I was having some like stomach issues, so so I slept for another like couple of more hours, and then I went to my office, in Jersey City. So in any case, all right, everyone. So that's my take on my fish tank. My next topic is already 46 minutes already into my cheat sheet. Bionic Eye. Bionic Eye. I was reading. Where was that? Fox News. Where the fuck it was, right? So in 5 years, they're going to come up with a bionic eye. People who have issues with their eyes and their vision and all that, right? Especially people who are blind from one eye or whatever the fuck it is, right? So within 5 years, the experts and the engineers and the scientists are going to come up with a bionic eye, which is going to have far more capabilities. Well, I shouldn't say far more capabilities, but it's going to have as many capabilities and in terms of vision and transmitting, I guess, the photo signal into the back of our brain, right? So I thought that was a very interesting topic that I wanted to include in my cheat sheet, right? I'm pretty sure. I mean, isn't that fucking amazing that how technology is progressing? Maybe sometimes some people are also talking about that. I think on Joe Rogan podcast or whatever the fuck it is, one of the other podcasts that I was listening to, that maybe technology is moving too fast for our human evolution. Maybe it is, I don't know. But that was interesting. So all you people out there who are having hard times with your visions and all that, that's actually great news for you all. That's really great news. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a fucking gazillion dollar in the beginning. But I think, that's a great leap for humankind, right? One step for humans and a huge leap for humankind. Is that what it is? In terms of like visionary and the, eye and eye surgeries and all that, right? But I'm not an expert on that. That's what I wanted to say, so don't quote me on that one. My last topic, everyone, in my cheat sheet. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot of topics, but I guess I had some topics, right? So SpaceX and Elon Musk, they're excited. They've been, sending out these fucking tweets, right? So apparently SpaceX has an astronaut launch into the outer orbit. Is that outer orbit or let's say just into the fucking space, right? So they're going to launch their pod, which eventually they're going to launch to transport astronauts into the International Space Station, right? Which is obviously, according to my own theory, according to my own observation, is a piece of junk. But that's what we got, sir. I mean, so this Wednesday, I think they are going to, is that like a dry run with astronauts, but they're just going to like take them to the space and bring them back? Is that what it is? Are that really like where they're going to basically transport them into the International Space Station? I have no idea. I have to look into that. But you guys can look it up for yourself. And I thought that was very interesting. Obviously, Elon Musk, I told you guys, he's a great visionary, obviously. And hopefully, him and all these other companies, even NASA, they are going to hopefully becoming more serious about, landing a mission to Mars. But in any case, so without, again, ranting on that one, because I have ranted too fucking long on that one, everyone, in all my podcasts. This time, hopefully, they become a little more serious. given the fucking pandemic, and we have nowhere to go if this fucking thing happens again, right? All right, so that's my 51 minute podcast, everyone. And I'll upload that. I don't have to even say that. I mean, that's obvious, right? All you out there, enjoy your long weekend, whatever you're doing with your family, with your loved ones. And let's bring this planet back to somehow an normality that was before March 15th, right? I don't want to sound like fucking a comedian, although comedians have a lot to say. They have their own, issues just like everybody else. Not issues, but obviously, they can't do, especially stand-up comedians, they can't do their stand-ups and all that. So that's a big thing for them. Although I saw a show, Adam Carolla did a stand-up down in Texas. So that was great. I saw that one. Nobody obviously cares about Texas. Not that nobody cares about Texas, but what I meant to say was nobody really cares about down in Texas, which is not true. I saw, actually, it was in one of those comedy theaters, and you still have to maintain, they had tables set up, and the tables had to be 6 feet apart. But, they were serving drinks, and, the restaurants are open. So, in that sense, these states up in Northeast, in our region, these states are really like far behind, very bureaucratic, not up to par with the technology and all that. I'm not justifying either state, either Texas or either Northeast, but somehow, we have to open, and we have to have businesses up and running. And there are a lot of people who are jobless, and what is it, like fucking 13% now? So let's bring the jobs back, and with that, I'm going to close out my podcast, and I shall see you all next weekend.